Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, November 15th, 2014. This is episode 1135. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Citrix ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with Citrix ShareFile. Try ShareFile today for a 30-day free trial. Go to sharefile.com, click the microphone, and enter Tech Guy. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at gazelle.com. And by NatureBox. NatureBox ships great tasting snacks right to your door. Start snacking smarter with wholesome, delicious treats like agave citrus granola. Oh, man. To get your complimentary NatureBox sampler, visit naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Now it's time to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my number. I'd love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. Anything you want to talk about, if it's got a chip in it, I'm open to it. I'll talk about it. Did you see? Did you see the Fed's little thing they were doing? The super secret U.S. spy program. Wall Street Journal had the article. November 13th. I guess that was Thursday. The U.S. Marshals Service was doing this, although I have to think it was at the behest of somebody else, certainly at least of the Justice Department. They were equipping small plane Cessnas with something called dirt boxes. Dirt boxes. And they'd fly over, stuff, cities. The program, which became fully functional 7 years ago, operates Cessna aircraft from at least 5 metropolitan area airports, according to the Wall Street Journal, with a flying range covering most of the U.S. population. The planes are equipped with dirt boxes, which mimic the cell towers of large cell phone companies and trick your phone into saying, hello, this is Leo's phone. My unique registration ID is, and it gives out the IMEI or whatever it is, the UUID. And then its exact geolocation via GPS. The technology in the dirt box, according to the Journal, enables investigators to scoop data from tens of thousands of cell phones in a single flight, collecting identifying information and location. Not all without a search warrant. This is the ultimate fishing expedition, isn't it? Because, obviously those people, you and me, are not suspected of any crime. Just in case. We're just going to gather it in case. The Justice Department would neither confirm nor deny, because to talk about it would allow criminal suspects or foreign powers to determine U.S. surveillance capabilities, or just our citizens. They don't need to know. We're just keeping you safe. You don't need to know this. Don't worry your little head. It's just a plane flying over, gathering location of every single person it flies over. It's, they say, oh, well, don't worry, because we throw out the data that's not from criminal suspects. What? What? How do they even know if it's from criminals? They don't throw it out. They keep it all just in case. In case they ever want to figure out where you were, they got it. Chris Soghoian, who's a great technology guy, a security expert. He's the chief technologist at the ACLU. Said, quote, "It's a dragnet surveillance program. It's inexcusable, and it's likely, to the extent judges are authorizing it, that they have no idea of the scale of it." You know what? They don't need judges to authorize it, because the Department of Justice has long held that metadata, that's not spying. We're not listening to the calls. We're just collecting information about every single person in the United States, where they are at any given time, their cell phone identity, and, that way, if anything should happen, then they'll know. You know what? If you have nothing to hide, it's nothing to worry about, right? Nothing to worry about. Fugitives and drug dealers, that's who has to worry. But it does collect information on cell phones belonging to people who aren't criminal suspects. The device then decides which phones belong to suspects and, quotes, "lets go of the non-suspect phones." Don't worry about it. Just like the NSA collects all that traffic and just lets go of it. Well, they don't. Okay, let go. That's, it's a broad term. We store it. We keep it. But we don't look at it unless, later we need it. Then we have it. Hey, if you don't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it. It's okay with me. It's okay. It just confirms, though, what I've reminded people over and over again. When you're carrying a cell phone, you're carrying the most sophisticated spy device known to man. It's got a camera in it. It's got a microphone in it. It's got a GPS in it. It's always on, always broadcasting. And you know what? All they have to do is fly a dirt box over your head, and they have it all. Crying out loud. Hey, but nothing to worry about. You never did anything wrong, did you? Just in case, we'll save this. In case you ever, if we ever have to accuse you of it, then we'll have the information. That's the Wall Street Journal. You can't trust the Wall Street Journal. Why would they make stuff up all the time? Nothing to be upset about. Nothing to worry about. I don't know what you do. I think you howl to your member of Congress, your Congress critter, because, or stop carrying a cell phone. But is that a good idea? How are you going to do that? So net neutrality in the news. Of course, President Obama, beginning of the week, announced that he was in favor of what many have called for, myself included, regulating internet service providers like common carriers. That gives the FCC the power to prevent things like paid prioritization, where the internet service provider says, you, Leo, you should have fast access with your streaming audio and video to our customers, and for a small amount of money, we can ensure that. If, however, you was to not give us this money, we could not promise your packets would reach the ended destination. Well, that's silly, right? We can trust the wireless companies, because the internet service providers, the wireless companies, they're acting in our interest all the time. Well, for instance, I'll give you an example. The FCC, said we're going to try to figure out how to make, the net neutral so that the companies can't charge for access to you. 2 days later, the CEO of AT&T, Randall Stephenson, said, you know what? We're not going to finish this fiber build-out. I'm not going to do it. Over concern over net neutrality rules. In fact, we even promised that we would build fiber to the homes as part of our deal to acquire DirecTV, but now I'm not so sure, says CEO Randall Stephenson. I don't think so. By the way, the cable companies did this many moons ago when the FCC threatened to, slow down, to regulate the cable companies. They said, well, in that case, we will not wire up all these communities. It would be a shame if you weren't to have TV and internet. And the FCC backed down. In fact, gave them a monopoly. Said, whoa, sorry. Sure, you got a monopoly. Every single city in the country now has to decide which cable company they want. Then you build it out and do whatever you want, because basically now you have them over a barrel. Same thing's going to happen now with AT&T. Of course, this is the good news. They might have been a little premature because the FCC apparently still hasn't signed off on AT&T's $48 billion deal to buy DirecTV. Whoops. Didn't they say they would sign? They didn't sign it yet? Oh. These companies, don't assume they're well run. They're greedy, yes. Well run, not so much. It's as if Randall Stephenson, the CEO of AT&T, wanted to give net neutrality proponents a little ammunition. Look, see how we'll act, how anti-competitively we'll act if you enforce this? See? 8888, ask Leo. Let's talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dirt boxes, all of them. That's good water. At least the water is still pure. Our essential bodily fluids are still protected by government regulation. You know, they don't allow fluoride in the water here in Petaluma. No siree. That's good. There's a little chlorine. That's okay, right? It's chlorine, but there's no fluoride. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888, ask Leo, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Heather Hammond's here, the phone ranger, wearing your Flintstones vest. I love that. That's like, you look like you could be on, Saturday a Go-Go dance show. I love that. Is that modern or is that vintage?
It was made in this century.
Made in this century, wow.
Yeah, but that's the whole idea.
I saw a review of a movie, not a very good movie, in which it was a musical, in which they said, maybe the best musical of this century. And I thought, wait a minute. And then I realized, this century. Well, you're probably right. There's not many musicals made this century. Hard to believe we're already 14 years into a new century. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's 2004. It's not. It's 2014.
Right?
What?
I get that mixed up for reals. It's like, I've known you 10 years. Wait, no, I've known you 20 years or whatever.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Does that mean we're getting old or the world is getting old? I think the world is getting old.
Apparently, both things are aging equally.
Heather is exactly equally, unless
you're Superman.
Or you're like in Interstellar. Is it spoiling? I don't think it's a spoiler to say on Interstellar they land on a planet. This is real black hole physics. Kip Thorne, who's a physicist, a brilliant guy, wrote about black holes. The Nolan brothers, Christopher Nolan, his brother Jonathan, read his stuff, loved it, said, we want to make a movie based on black holes. Kip Thorne consulted with them. The result, the big, huge box office hit Interstellar, which I loved, with Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. It's a great movie. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say, because of a black hole, there is a planet that for every hour you spend on the planet's surface, the people back home age 7 years.
Interesting.
Wow.
How does McConaughey's chest look? Oh, don't spoil it. You're right. No spoiler.
He doesn't take his shirt off.
What? How can this be?
First movie that he doesn't take his shirt off.
Oh, because he's in space and he has to stay in his space
He's an
suit.
astronaut. I don't think there's any occasion for him to take his shirt off. Come to think of it.
Okay.
So enough silliness. I think it's time to take a call.
It is.
You have filled the big board up with lovely people. Who should I start with?
Well, we have to talk to Charles in Omaha because it has begun snowing, and I'm sure he's thinking that my fur vest looks nice and warm right now.
Oh, it does. This is the warmest year in recorded history. So how come it keeps snowing? That's what I want to know. Which line is that? Line 2. Hi, Charles. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo Laporte, it's so awesome to talk to you today.
Well, thank you. Great to talk to you.
Huge fan. I'm just going to tell you, Saturdays and Sundays, Mac Mini's hooked up to the big TV, and you're broadcasting in the living room with my wife and my kids. We watch it every weekend.
Oh, come on. Your wife and kids hate me at this point.
I'm telling you, I hear it from you all the time. He's just as much of a geek.
All right. That's what I love. Hey, that's nice. A geek family. I'm glad to spend the weekend with you.
Exactly.
And you're indoors this weekend, it sounds like. A little snow coming down.
Yeah, it's a little cold, and there's some white stuff coming down, so we are indoors.
It's freezing here, isn't it, Heather? It's like 48 degrees. It's so cold. I'm just dying. So what can I do for you, Charles?
Well, here's my question, and I'm just going to start it off with thanking you because I've saved. So you made me spend a lot of money, but I saved a lot of money going through Squarespace and other stuff that you promote. My question is, I help families back up old videotapes and stuff like that to archive them and preserve them.
That's good of you. That's a great service to offer.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I now have set up my own Squarespace site, and I'm trying to get traffic. But my question is, because there's so many out there, and everybody does DVD. So I now build them in iTunes Extra, so people can just import that file right into their iTunes, have the menus, all the great stuff that DVDs have. And then I just deliver it on USB, and I give them a free DVD. So they have 2 copies of their memories. My question is, can I go above and beyond with some service that I can give them a link and give them that file so they can share it easier with family across the country? I mean, I'm just kind of stuck at that point where I can take it to the next level.
That's an interesting question. I mean, you could certainly set up an account for them on sites like Flickr, which stores video and pictures, or on, Google Drive or Dropbox. But that would be their account, and you'd have to then say, now here's your account, your credentials. This is all yours. What it sounds like is you want something that's kind of disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a great service called drop.io that you would just you could create storage. It would exist until they got the stuff, and then it would disappear. And that was such a great service. Unfortunately, Facebook bought them and put them out of their misery. And I don't know, maybe the chat room would know. I mean, there's ShareFile and stuff like that, but you have to buy it. And I presume that since you're doing this as a pro bono, you don't want to buy something.
Yeah, I don't really want to have an extra cost because I just thought maybe because those grandmas that just have an iPad,
Yeah, then they could go onto it on their iPad. They could download them.
Yeah, and just be gone at that point.
Well, how big are these? Like Dropbox will give you a free account with 5 gigabytes to start. I think it's 5 to start. I mean, how big are these depositories?
I mean, I can get them down to a decent size, like 5 gigabytes. I mean, I deliver them on an 8 gigabyte USB drive.
Oh, all right.
And there's still room on that drive.
Oh, all right. I can't remember what drive. It might even be more now. It was 5 gigs. It's at least 5 gigs. It might be 10 gigs now. Most of these services. So you could create an account. Oh, Dropbox is only 2. Oh, that's terrible. Google Drive's 5. Then somebody's 5. You could create an account. That seems like kind of not the best way to do it. What we really want is something like Drop.io, where it was just temporary. It just came out of nowhere. I'm looking, and there are some. Haven't used them. There's one called Expirebox that lets you create a 48-hour box that people can get into.
Okay.
But I don't know what the limitations are on this.
No, ShareFile. I know you use ShareFile.
I love ShareFile, but you'd have to have an account. You'd have to pay for an account.
Okay.
There's no free ShareFile. I would look at, I would say, besides Expirebox, I would try Google Drive. See, what you could do, you must have a Google account. What you could do is create a new Google account. I think they say now that you start with 15 gigs, but create an account. You don't have to make an account for them. You just give them a link. They can make a public link on your Google Drive. They can download it, and then once you've seen that they've downloaded, delete it. That at least would be free. You'd give them a link, they'd download it. You could do the same with other services like Dropbox if you're willing to pay for them. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. So if you create a unique Gmail account that you don't use for anything but this purpose, and you could have a special email address that these people could email to you, And then you'd get 15 gigs. And that's certainly enough to do this for a few people. Store it there and then, say this is only going to be good for a week. Hey, Scott Wilkinson.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well.
Good.
What you want to talk about today?
Well, I was planning to talk about Interstellar. I saw it in IMAX 70mm film.
Good. Somebody said, you say you're not going to do a spoiler, and you did a spoiler. There is a planet in the movie in which for every hour you spend, you get 7 years. That is a spoiler.
That's
not. I don't know what your definition of if your definition of spoiler is anything that happened in the movie, then I guess that's a spoiler. But I didn't say what happened or anything. I just said there's a planet, and the physics is genuine. That's real.
The physics is genuine, and that's one of the cool things about the movie.
I like it because that's a relative spoiler.
It's a relativistic spoiler.
Unless he meant that not saying that Matthew McConaughey didn't take off his shirt was a spoiler.
Well, that might be a spoiler
That's
for some.
kind of a spoiler, yeah.
He could have taken off his shirt when he was on Earth.
Drop send. I haven't heard that one. I think actually with 15 gigs, Google Drive is probably... Yeah, this is like you send it. This is just a way to email files of up to 4 gigs. So yeah, there's a number of these like you send it. Somebody said it would be great if Matthew McConaughey saw the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the sand.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, here we go. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson there. He's the home theater guy, editor of avsforum.com, really the best place to go for home theater enthusiasts. Also, of course, the host of the fabulous Home Theater Geeks podcast at twit.tv/HTG. John C. Dvorak was saying how much he enjoys that show.
I heard him say that, and I was so gratified. I thank him very much for that.
Yeah, and he's sincere. He never says anything good about anybody. So,
well, that really must mean something then.
It means something. So you saw Interstellar, hey?
I did. I went and I saw it in IMAX 70mm film. Now, as you know, I've talked about this many times. I generally much prefer digital presentations over film. But Christopher Nolan, the director of the movie, used all sorts of techniques that really are best viewed on IMAX 70mm film. For example, he goes into all kinds of different aspect ratios, which is the shape of the picture. And so in the pictures in space, it's a fairly narrow but very tall aspect ratio. And so you really feel like you're in space. You're floating in space. It's really wonderful.
How does he do that? Are there black bars on either side?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, see, if you're not looking for it, you don't if it's done well, because the aspect ratio, he used the wider aspect ratios for the more cinematic type moments, the more intimate moments when he's talking, the two people are talking, or there's a highly emotional moment, then the aspect ratio widens out. And if it's done well, you don't notice it, but it serves the story. And so but in this movie is available in 6 different formats. It's in IMAX 70mm film. It's in non-IMAX 70mm film. It's in 35mm film. And then it's in IMAX digital, 4K digital, and 2K digital. So there's a bunch of different ways to see it. And depending on how you see it, you may or may not get these changing aspect ratios. So Chris Nolan is very much of what I call a filmophile.
It's funny because
right?
I don't know how many people make movies on film anymore. I mean,
very few.
Yeah.
Very few, but he's one of them.
Wow.
And he loves film. He also does not love immersive audio. He did not mix this in Dolby Atmos or Oro or any of the immersive audio formats.
Really?
He's also, no, it's not available in any of them. And he also doesn't like 3D. So this movie is not available in 3D. It was not shot in 3D or in post-production, they didn't make it 3D.
I begged them for 3D glasses, and they wouldn't give them to me at the theater. I said, where's my glasses? They said,
where's my glasses?
You don't need glasses. I said, hallelujah. So now when I shoot video on my camera vertically, and all the weenies say, "Oh, you should turn it sideways," I'm just going to say, "Well, no, I'm shooting it like Nolan does."
Right.
That's a Chris Nolan technique I'm using.
That's right. Now, as you know, you saw the movie. Did you see it in 70 millimeter?
I did.
Did you see it in IMAX?
No, I saw it in a regular theater.
A regular theater.
I loved it, though, but now I want to go see it again in IMAX. I have to say, I mean, there are people, Lisa didn't like it much because it was so long. There are people who don't like it so much.
Almost 3 hours long.
But I think it's like 2001. It's one of those movies that will be in the Matrix. So it'll just be a classic forever.
You know, I wrote about it on AVS. I wrote a fairly long piece about it without giving any spoilers away, by the way.
Which is not easy.
No, it's not. I described the basic plot, the basic premise.
That's a spoiler.
No, it's not a spoiler. You watch the trailers and you know that, they're looking for a new home for humanity.
No, you spoiled it for me. What is with this? There is this weird spoiler culture now. People are such babies. Somebody said it was a spoiler that when I said earlier that there is a planet in this movie where you spend 1 hour there and 7 hours of Earth time goes by. I mean, 7 years of Earth time goes by.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler to say that.
I don't think so either.
That's physics.
And I agree with you 100%. I was delighted.
There's a planet with gravity. No, don't tell me. I'm sorry.
I was delighted that the science depicted in this movie was pretty accurate. Of course, there's some hand-waving going on because it's a movie.
Well, there's got to be story. And every scientist says, Phil Platt, who I love, he's called The Bad Astronomer. He does a bad astronomy podcast. He's a brilliant astronomer. He's far from a bad. At first, he came out and said, no, this couldn't possibly be. He pointed out a few. And then he had to retract it. He said, I have to apologize. Kip Thorne, the physicist who did the math for this.
It was on the movie. Yeah, it was an executive producer of the movie.
He said, I didn't realize it was a spinning black hole. Kip did the math, which is virtually impossible. Only a handful of people in the world can do it. And it is accurate, and I apologize.
Yep, I saw that too.
It was like, wow, this is so accurate. Even like astrophysicists are baffled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, who was the host of Cosmos, and he's the director of the Hayden Planetarium in New York, astrophysicist himself, came out and was pretty impressed with the science.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie. Look.
Yeah, exactly.
Conan O'Brien said, people are complaining about the science in this, but they have no problem thinking that Matthew McConaughey is an astrophysicist. See, all movies have some suspension of disbelief.
Yes, exactly.
It's normal.
Exactly. The main problem I had with this movie were two. One was the sound levels. I measured the sound levels.
It got really loud at the end. The music swelled, and my head swelled.
Exactly. I measured an average over the entire movie of nearly 100 decibels.
Oh, so it wasn't my imagination.
No, this was in an IMAX theater, and they are pretty famous for playing it too loud.
Was it not in surround? Was it surround, just not Atmos?
It was in 5.1 or 6.1 in the case of IMAX. But yeah, it was the highest peak I measured was 117. So it was really loud. And the other problem is
that is like a painful
it is.
level.
It is. There's no question about it. And because of that, sometimes this was a cause and sometimes not. But the dialogue, I couldn't understand much of what Matthew McConaughey said because he was mumbling all the time.
All right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
When you go into the future, yeah.
But there's because sometimes there's a lot of noise going on, a lot of very high levels of ambient noise in the movie, and then people are having dialogue, and it's important dialogue, and I missed some of the plot points.
Yeah.
So I had a little problem with that.
I too noticed that even in a normal theater, especially at the end, the music really got awfully loud.
Loud.
I think I'm just figuring I'm old. That's why I don't. What? Hey, Lisa, what did he just say? I can't.
No, it's not that. There's so many people complaining about the dialogue intelligibility. That's the issue that we're talking about here. And it's a very widespread thing that a lot of people are noticing. So
they should distribute a manuscript with the movie so you can read along.
It would be a really thick tome, that's for sure. But I'll tell you this, Christopher Nolan actually visited the IMAX theater, the Chinese theater in Hollywood, to make sure that it was as he wanted it to be. And if that soundtrack was as he wanted it to be, then he wants his audience to go deaf for sure.
Yeah. I noticed it at the end, and I was thinking, boy, this is awfully loud. So I guess that they set it up that way. I mean, you can't. Can the theater owner turn it down?
He should be able to.
I think there's a lot of dynamic range probably because
there is.
Yeah, there's very quiet stuff too, so you can't turn down too much.
Right. Nor can you really wear earplugs because then you won't hear the dialogue in the quiet parts. I stuck my fingers in my ears during the loud parts so that I could then take them out and hear the dialogue in the quiet parts.
Wise man. So bring a lunch because it's long, and bring earplugs.
That's right, and make
loud.
sure you make a pit stop before you sit down.
Yeah. Well, that was Lisa's problem. There was no good point to go to the bathroom. Hey, but a recommendation to go see it. Scott Wilkinson. twit.tv/HTG. Thanks for joining us. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right. Louder.
Get it louder.
Loud. It's funny. I'm gonna have to go back and see it because I think some dialogue was hard for me to hear.
Yeah, the worst example of that was near the end when the old professor reveals something critical.
Oh, I couldn't understand what he said.
Couldn't understand what he said,
right.
and it was critical.
And everybody goes, and then,
Yeah, right.
What did he say? Lisa, did you hear what he said? I didn't hear that. What did he say?
Exactly. That was quite, you finally get it in context after a while.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. The old professor.
Yeah.
So
what did he say?
When you're seeing the old professor, listen.
Yeah, carefully.
All right, all yours.
Okay, thank you. So I liked the movie. I didn't think it reached the level of 2001 myself. That's my personal opinion. But there were some plot holes. The science was good, but I thought there were some plot holes that could have been patched better. Plus the fact that I found it kind of depressing, whereas 2001 is quite uplifting. So, again, my personal opinion, your mileage may vary. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat room are talking about, the volume of that movie. And a lot of people on AVS in my post, my thread about Interstellar are making the same complaint as well. Although not everybody. There are a few people who say they went to the theater, one or another, and they could hear the dialogue fine. And it wasn't too loud. But then they're probably youngsters. And I admit I am not a youngster, and I want to protect my hearing, which is why I go and I measure the sound levels at all the movies I go to, really, because I want to see what they're doing. And man, oh man, this was loud. The imagery, the one thing I didn't get to say on the air there was the imagery of the shots in space and all this on the alien planets and so on. Beautiful. Oh, my God. It was just fantastic. Really spectacular. Worth the price of admission and the 3 hours and the loud music and the loud sound all by itself. Just go to see the visuals. And an IMAX 70 millimeter on a gigantic 5-story tall screen, it's really, really impressive. Really, really good. So, hey, Waikiki Guru. Aloha. And R. Chandra asked, what did I think of 2010? I actually liked that movie. I don't know if I'm in the minority or the majority or what, but I really liked that movie. I thought it was really good. I had a fun time watching that movie. So the answer is yes. I don't think it's quite a 2001 in terms of a landmark film, but I liked it a lot. Sybil, hope you didn't have chocolate on your fingers before inserting them into your ears. No, sadly I didn't. I might have liked to, but no. How loud was it? Titus asks. Ooh, I don't have a good comic comeback to that. Sorry. Yeah, Diego Kidd liked 2010 as well, and so did Filmmaker. Yes, one. Boy, actually, a lot of people liked it. UJ said, I like 2010 because it helped me make sense of 2001. Yeah, but there was, it's true. 2001 had some ambiguity in it, or some things that weren't quite clear necessarily.
All right.
Here we go.
Stick around to the top.
Actually, I got to run.
All right. See you, Scotty.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. If you see something on the show and you say, boy, I would like to write that down, but I'm speeding down the highway at 80 miles an hour, please keep your hands on the wheel and just remember this, techguylabs.com. That's the website. Everything's there. Everything's there, techguylabs.com. And it's free. You don't have to sign up. Keep your email address. I don't want your email address. Just visit, enjoy. Julian in Los Angeles. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Julian.
Hey, good morning, Leo. How's it going?
Morning.
So I have a question. I've been very happy with my DSL provider for years now, but they are now offering the ability to switch to a higher kind of internet, the fiber internet, which will finally allow me to perhaps have greater download speed. But I have some questions about that, mostly whether it's as stable and as reliable. The one thing I like about DSL is that, unlike cable, you're not sharing your bandwidth with your neighbors. And I'm just wondering if you know if fiber internet works more like cable or is it more like DSL?
No, it's just like DSL.
Okay, so it is not sharing with the neighbors.
Is it AT&T or Verizon that's offering you the fiber?
It's actually DSL Extreme.
DSL Extreme.
Yes.
So they're not trenching, so they must be riding on somebody else's fiber.
Yeah, my guess is they're piggybacking on AT&T's fiber. So they're now offering the services called TrueStream, I believe it is. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it because they're an advertiser.
Yeah.
So that's great. I guess on the one hand, I would say I can talk about the technologies, but of course you always understand that it's implementation specific. So you can have, the fiber technology is awesome, and it can be poorly implemented, and then it won't be any better than anything else. So it really, and in fact, I think the way I think they tier it. DSL Extreme tiers it, so you can get as much bandwidth as you pay for, but it goes all the way up to 75 megabits, which is fabulous.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I have the ability to have as little or as much as I want. It lets me have more choice than what I currently have now with just DSL, but I really like the reliability. DSL Extreme's been great. I think I can count maybe on one hand with many fingers left over how many times the service has actually gone down for me. It's just been great. So
this is it's an interesting story, especially in light of all of this net neutrality conversation. The FCC forced the phone companies to open their infrastructure, their lines into your house to other internet service providers. So you can get AT&T service over that line, and you can get other companies like DSL Extreme service over that line. When that's great because it means there's competition. It means prices are pushed down. Of course, the phone company cooperation from the phone company can vary, but they're supposed to be fully cooperative. And then you see the opposite on cable because the FCC granted cable's desire not to have to share its lines. And so if you have cable and you're going to get cable internet, it's going to be from your cable company and nobody else. And I really think that may be one of the solutions to this net neutrality conundrum is we got to get competition. If there are many providers coming into your house, then those that give you better service at a lower price will win. It's just, a free market. In any event, this is really good news because, DSL Extreme before was riding on the copper. Now they're riding on the glass. It will be essentially the same physical plant that AT&T offers. So they're a little bit, at that, if that cable gets cut, it's AT&T's job to fix it. So they're at the mercy of AT&T in that regard. But they provide excellent service on top of it. If you've been happy with their service on copper, you should be just as happy with their service on glass. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, they're basically leasing it from AT&T.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't trading in something that was stable and reliable for something that wasn't quite as much.
Well, as I said, I can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It's dependent on your neighborhood, on the company, and on and up. But it should be, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I realize you can't make guarantees. I just basically want to make sure I wasn't going into something that was like cable, which is the reason I stay away from it, is because I don't like the idea of sharing.
Not
knowing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an example where if the cable company puts enough bandwidth into that neighborhood, then it's not an issue. But the problem is if you have 3 or 4 people watching Netflix and the cable company didn't give you enough bandwidth, you can't watch Netflix too. That's a problem.
Right.
So it all really comes down to implementation and how well the company you're buying the internet from is implementing it. And this sounds like in this case you've been very happy with DSL Extreme on AT&T. That you should be just as happy on the glass.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. You know what though? If you let me know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, call back and let me know because we always like to hear how it's working for people. Fiber is a great solution just because it can carry so much bandwidth. DSL is somewhat limited. DSL, which you can get from your phone company and then other companies like DSL Extreme, comes in through that twisted copper pair that the phone company provides. And that has limited carrying capabilities. And furthermore, the technology is very much distance dependent. So DSL doesn't work very well the farther and farther you get from the central office. You can only go about 2 miles before it stops working almost entirely. Fiber has less of that issue. We don't have fiber. Well, we have fiber into the studio, actually, come to think of it. But I don't have fiber at home. I would love to. I think fiber is a great thing. There's also, and you can inquire about this, the difference between fiber right into your house and fiber to a head end, which then goes into your house via copper, which I suspect is what you have. It would obviously be best, although much more expensive, to have the glass fiber optic cable going all the way to your house. And then, generally speaking, it's Ethernet throughout the rest of the house. Sam is in Northridge, California, our next caller. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. I'm starting to run out of space on my TiVo, and I'm interested in upgrading the hard drive in it. I'm using a TiVo Premier, and I was wondering if you can suggest a good source for instructions as of how to do that.
Yeah, AVS Forum, Scott Wilkinson's site, has a lot of great information about TiVo. That's where I got many of the tips for my TiVo book that I wrote some years ago, back with TiVo Series 1. And then the other place I was very happy to know about and use is a company in your neck of the woods, actually. It's called Weak Knees. And it's online at weaknees, WeakNees.com. They actually not only sell TiVos with upgraded drives, but will sell you the parts for the upgrade. Now, that's important because these drives, even though they're regular consumer drives, they're blessed. They're specially blessed before you can use them. So I highly recommend you get some information about not only how to put them in, but what to do to those drives. There's also the TiVo community forums at TiVoCommunity.com. Great stuff there. But I love Weak Knees. Now this is a commercial enterprise, but they're very knowledgeable, and they still sell TiVos, with upgraded drives, as well as the information you need and the drives you need for the upgrade. Be careful. You don't want to bring your TiVo to its knees. I have a Romeo Pro, the newer Romeo. I am just a fan. I just love it. But they're not as hackable as they used to be. That TiVo book was the Series 1 TiVo, which was eminently hackable. Then, of course, the networks got hold of them, took them by the neck and shaked them and said, "You can't do that," and convinced them to encrypt the data and so forth. So it's not quite as hackable as it used to be, but still a great device. I'm a big fan. Hey, thanks for the call. 8888 Ask Leo. Of course, that information, everything I talk about on the website, techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. More of your calls coming up right after this. Our show today brought to you, I forgot to say this. I should say this, by Citrix ShareFile. I should have said it the caller who was doing such a nice deed for his friends and family, getting them their videos and their pictures scanned. ShareFile is a great way to share files. Now, I think it's probably primarily aimed at business because, as we all know, business shares a lot of files. Many business emails, if not most, will contain an attachment of some kind of PowerPoint presentation or a contract, PDFs. And the problem with attaching files to email is it's a bad idea. It's how viruses get spread. I tell you this all the time. Don't open attachments. It's not secure. Anybody can read it along the way. You're sending a postcard through the internet. And, of course, with bounce back, some of these file sizes are so big, you don't even know if it's going to get there. This is why ShareFile is such a great solution for sharing files in business. You're not sending attachments. You're sending a secure link. Now, if you're using, and ShareFile has a bunch of ways to do this. If you're using the ShareFile Outlook plugin, it looks exactly like you're sending an email attachment. So that's nice. It's very easy for your people in your workplace to use. The way I do it, I use it more like I synchronize it, like a file store, like a cloud storage solution. So I have a ShareFile folder. Actually, I have several ShareFile folders. When I save a file to it, ShareFile automatically synchronizes. And then, in fact, I'll show you. I'll go to my ShareFile account. When I log into my ShareFile account, there all the files are. I'm going to log in. That's what people see when I send them a ShareFile. So this is automatically populated by synchronization, right? So, and you see I use this for radio. So here's Premiere, here's current ads, voice tracks. I just recorded some voice tracks for WMEQ. So here's how I send it to them. I could use the Outlook plugin, but this is just as easy for me. I get a secure link. You could do it as an email here, or I just get a secure link. I can control how many times they can download it, for how long, a year, a day, a month, forever. Whether I get an email when they download it or not. Now, when I click Send File, I'm going to get a secure link. I just paste that link into the email. That's how I prefer to do it, because I can personalize that email. When they click the link, this is what they get. Very simple. They see my logo. They see a download button. They see Wave. They know what they're going to get. It's very, very simple. I love ShareFile, and I want you to try it free for 30 days in your business. Go to sharefile.com, and if you do me a favor, there's a link at the very top of the page. It says Podcast Listeners. Click that link there, and use our offer code TechGuy so they know that you heard it on this show, and they'll give you 30 days free. Sharefile.com. 30 days free when you use the offer code TechGuy. You'll find out why. All but a handful of Fortune 500 companies use ShareFile. It's at 99%. That means 495 of the Fortune 500 use ShareFile. ShareFile, Citrix ShareFile, sharefile.com. Use my offer code TechGuy. It has a nice advantage, too, because it doesn't confuse the people who receive it, as other solutions have. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, home theater, digital photography, whatever's on your mind. If it's got a chip in it, you give me a ring. Let's talk about it. 8888 Ask Leo, website techguylabs.com. David is in Los Angeles. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo. Pleasure to talk to you, sir.
It's nice to talk to you. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I've been on your show before in the after hours portion about a year ago at the Maker Fair. Scobelizer, Robert Scoble was on.
Oh, neat.
And I was on with our partner at the time. But so,
are you a maker?
We were a maker. We had a kind of an Internet of Things going at that time, kind of waned. But I wanted to talk about the phone thing and the government tracking you. I got a good friend, Terry, who says with mobile phones, it's not whether you get tracked. All you get to do is select who you want to track you. You want Apple to track you. You want Google to track you. Somebody's going to track you.
Well, and the government can track you. And so we were talking at the beginning of the last hour about a Wall Street Journal article. The Department of Justice flies Cessnas, small planes, over 90% of the United States with these dirt boxes. They collect mobile phone information by posing as a mobile phone site, as a cell phone tower, gathering your unique identifier, your geolocation, and then moving on. And they do tens of thousands of people at a time. Just in case. But what we've known for years is that there's no warrant required for what they call a pen register. The law enforcement can, and all of the cell phone companies have portals that you can log into. And law enforcement logs in. They say, yeah, this phone number, where were they on Thursday night? And for $1.50, the phone company will tell you. And that requires no warrant because the courts have ruled that That's metadata. Same thing.
Basically public information. Right?
It's public information. Same thing as email addresses, the subject lines of your emails. All of that is deemed not to be content, so it doesn't need a warrant. However, you got sophisticated computers. You put it all together, you can create a very detailed profile of somebody, detailed enough that you can figure out who they are. It's not anonymous.
Except here's the reason for my call. Here's how you beat it. Now, this is what I like to call, Leo, an illogical extreme. How you outsmart them is if people are really concerned about this, they have to go to some extreme measures, but here's what you do. You get 3 or 4 good, trusted friends, 3 or 4 or 5. You each get a Google Voice number, okay?
Yeah.
That becomes your number, and then you register all of the 5 phones for all of the, you know where I'm going, don't you? All of the 5 numbers. Now, once a week, you have a beat the government party where you swap
phones.
And so for a week at a time, they know where you are, but the other 4 weeks, they know where your other 4 friends are. Because they're
just going to roll their whole cell up. You know that. They're just going to roll you all up. You'll all be in Guantanamo.
It'll be in cahoots. We'll follow that. That's conspiracy. But
yeah.
that's...
And actually, we're facetious, and obviously nobody's going to do that. But let me point out that any attempt to get around this is deemed by the NSA. They've said this as reason to follow you. So if you use encryption, for instance, they say, oh, yeah, we'll gather anything that's encrypted up.
Right. He must be doing something illegal.
He must be up to something. That is deemed sufficient for them to definitely we're watching this group. See how they're switching those phones around?
Yeah. Right.
Oh. So
I'm in L.A., so 1 week they're over in East L.A. and 1 week they're in Irvine.
Very suspicious. You must want the terrorists to win, young man.
No. I do like, my freedom within the country, and it's one of the great things about it. But sometimes the legislations and tech capabilities overstep that. So,
I think that's the case here. I think that's the case. Even the authors of the Patriot Act have said we don't need this. We don't need to go so far. And of course, the problem is that you create legislation like that, and then the president says, as President Bush did after 9/11, never again. You're telling the law enforcement agencies in the United States, do whatever you can to make sure this never happens again. You're giving them permission, and they're gonna take it. Why wouldn't they? They've been told to do this.
And that's in a time of extreme war, and I do admire the way Bush stepped up with that. But you have to manage it over time, and we're getting a lot better and a lot more sophisticated at it. But there are times that I'll call it leftover, legislation like this, where you really have to go back and revisit it.
It's orphaned at this point, and I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is time to revisit the Patriot Act and think about what it means and have we gone too far. And I think many people agree it did go too far. And it can be modified without putting us at risk. And that's the bottom line. Nobody wants to put the nation at risk. There is some reasonable debate, though, of how far you have to go to do that. And there is another kind of risk. There is a risk of an overreaching government. And that's a significant risk. We've seen it happen before, not just around the world, but in the United States. And so
it's the protection of your country versus the freedom of its citizens. And it's a tough one. But so for the last thing, if somebody really doesn't want to be tracked by the government, except I guess this wouldn't matter. You can turn off geolocation, but I guess they're still going to track you.
Yeah, you're out of luck. I tell you these stories because I don't want people to feel helpless, but there really isn't much you can do except not carry a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good solution either. So that's why the right thing to do is to go to your member of Congress. And if we Congress is certainly swayed by a few things. We know they're swayed by campaign contributions, but ultimately, if that only works because the voters don't care. If voters really care, then no amount of campaign contributions overcome that. If the whole point of campaign contributions is to win elections. Well, how do you win elections? By getting votes. Well, if the voters are going to vote against you, doesn't matter. It is still in our hands unless you give up.
True. But I want to go back to the point you made. The only way to avoid this is to not carry a cell phone. I used to work for a large automotive in Los Angeles, and the CIO never carried a phone. She had an entourage. And so kind of like when she needed a phone, she went phone and hold out her hand. And
that's a form of asserting one's power.
True.
I once interviewed Kenneth Branagh, who is a great actor, played Henry V in a movie, and it was really interesting because he played Henry V, the King of England, in a whisper. And I asked Branagh, I said, "Why you're whispering?" He said, "Yeah, but kings don't have to shout. The king can whisper, and everybody will listen carefully." So that's a form of asserting your power. I don't need a cell phone. The Queen doesn't carry money. Somebody also said, I like this, to the Queen of England, the world smells of fresh paint. Think about it. 8880, ask Leo. Sam, good to talk to you. Thanks for the call. Sam in West Covina, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Let me just start by saying real quick, I'm 22 years old, and even I thought that Interstellar was pretty loud at times. So
wow, and you have good ears.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, bring earplug. Right. You got to protect your ears.
That's true, yeah.
117 dB, that's not okay.
That's true, yeah. And I think most of the people in the theater also felt the same way, but, that's the way he intended for us to see it. So
they're going to get OSHA involved. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration is going to protect moviegoers.
Right.
They'll hand out headphones when you go in.
Yeah. The reason for my call is I have a birthday coming up soon, and I'd really like to buy myself a camera. And I was just wondering right now, or even in the coming 2015 year, what would be the best camera to buy between $300 and $400, or maybe even a little over? And I'm looking for something that will last me a long time.
And how serious are you about photography? I mean, is this for Instagram and your website, or would you like to kind of do fine art photography? What do you take pictures of, that kind of thing?
Well, right now photography is something that I'd like to get into because it is a form of art expression, and I'm always for finding out those different art expressions. So I'm a very creative person, and so I would like to take up photography to kind of see what I can do with it. And, eventually I'd like to maybe even sell my photos and things like that. So, but right now I'm just looking for something that is something basic that I can start off with, take some good pictures.
Hang on, because we're going to take a break. I'll talk to you when we come back. Leo, I've got some great ideas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I love this question, Sam, because I love photography. It's a wonderful hobby. It's the kind of thing you can do in your spare time and get such satisfaction from. And if you're really good at it, I know a lot of people who've changed careers and become photographers. So you're serious about it. You probably want, most of the cameras you'll see in the stores are what we call point and shoot. They're not much more sophisticated than the old Instamatic. They have a zoom, so that is better. You're shooting digitally. The quality now on all digital cameras is superb. There's no reason to prefer one over the other because of quality. They're all very, very good. So now we can focus maybe on the lens system, because the ability to change lenses is even better than zooming.
Okay.
There are a number of very good choices with interchangeable lenses. For years, I recommended the Canon Rebels. Current one is the T5, but you can get, for less, you can get an older one like the T3i. And the T5 is $500. These are very good cameras with interchangeable lenses. As you go by, you get one lens, you get another lens, you try different things, wide angle, telephoto, macro. You get a better sense of portrait lenses and what they can do, and it's really a great thing to have. Now, that is a camera with a mirror, so the prism drops down, and you're seeing through the lens, which is what I think a lot of photographers really want. You see exactly what the lens sees optically. But a mirror makes it more physically complicated and bigger, because you have to, have the mirror, and there's a big chunk sound when the mirror moves out of the way and so forth. So a lot of photographers I know are moving towards what we call mirrorless designs. Disadvantage of that is you still look through the viewfinder, but you're not seeing optically. What you're seeing is a video tap of what you would see through the lens. So the quality is not quite as good. It does give you the advantage, though, although you can do this on cameras with mirrors too, that you can see on the LCD, you can also shoot that way. Kind of like a point and shoot, where you hold the camera out in front of you. Sony has a great series of mirrorless cameras, the NEX series. Highly recommend them. They also can start at a lower price. When you buy a Canon, and you buy Canon lenses, you're kind of now locking yourself into Canon. When you buy a Sony and you buy Sony lenses, you're locking yourself into Sony. I think Sony is the future of photography, frankly. Canon and Nikon have owned this for years, but Sony's doing some amazing stuff. Now, I'll tell you, this is not within your budget, but in my opinion, the best camera out there, and the one I and a number of professionals started to use, is the A7 series from Sony. I mean, we're talking now $3,000 or $4,000, but these are really spectacular cameras. Sony's imaging has gotten better and better, so much so that almost all camera phones are using Sony sensors. They have, it's odd, but they've just come on strong. And I think the Sony NEX3 would be also a good choice. Again, you're now investing in Sony lenses, but I think there's some real future there. 8888 asks Leo. So good luck with your career. The truth is, if you tell a photographer, you see a picture, and you say, I love that picture, you must have a great camera, the photographer will slug you. Because it ain't the camera, it's the photographer. It's like telling a writer, boy, your typewriter must be really good. You must be using a fabulous typewriter. No, it's the photographer, not the camera. So you could take great pictures with almost any camera. The key is to get out there and take pictures, as many as you can, as often as you can. Practice makes perfect. 8888 asks Leo, now, maybe a small camera isn't great. Ronnie says, those little cameras cramp my hands. Some people really like the big SLRs. They are big and they're heavy. I've really become very fond of the mirrorless, the lighter weight, smaller cameras. Alan in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Alan.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, all right. So, question. I don't know if the screener gave you the info. So, I bought for my son a Galaxy 3.
Okay.
And I'm with Sprint, and I put the child protection, whatever it is, that he's only allowed to make certain phone calls to the numbers I requested, things like that. The issue I'm having is with the app portion. The app portion only allows you to add 3 apps that he's allowed to use.
Well, that's dumb.
Right. So on my Galaxy,
how old is your son?
He's 7.
Okay. This is perfectly appropriate for a 7-year-old. It'd probably be nice to have more than 3 apps.
Right. So here's what my question is. I have on my Note 3, there's an app called Kids Mode, and within that, I can add everything that he wants to. So my thought was to do the same thing, was to download one of those Kid Mode apps, add everything in there, and that way he can just click that one app, and within there have all of his games and his sketchbook and all that available.
That's a great idea.
Okay, so the one that was available on the market for the Galaxy 3, what happens is it puts the app there, it opens the app, but when you want to open one of the apps I approved in there, it takes him back to the lock screen.
Oh. So it must be that app works not by having all those apps inside of it, but just by launching another app.
Right. So you put the apps in there, and you can set a timer.
And since you limited to 3, it won't let you launch all the apps you want.
Right. So that's why when it only limited me to 3, my idea was to get one of those Kid Mode apps.
No, I understand. Yeah, but it sounds like the Kid Mode app is just launching other. You know, you can probably, the S3 is capable of running more modern ROMs. You probably could update the S3 to a point where it would be as capable as the Note.
Right. So I did. That was the first thing I did before doing anything. I did all the firmware updates, Samsung updates, and I did that prior to even starting with the features of that because I didn't know how it was going to interfere. The one that with the Kids Mode app that's available on the Note 3, I can't find that one.
It's not in the Samsung store?
No, I can't find it in the Samsung market. I can't find it in the Google Play market, that specific one. There are other ones, but so far none of the ones that I've used have worked. So that's why I was seeing if the board or your bulletin board has any suggestions on how, because, he's 7, but he wants that availability to, play a game for 1 minute and switch it out to the next. And
all right, so I've looked around, and you can go to third parties and get the Kid Mode file. You have
the one that's available for the Note 3?
Yeah. Because it's just an application. And it would give your phone the same capabilities. But in order to do it, you have to get it from somebody who's made it available kind of illegally. It's an off-the-record download. This happens a lot in Android. The program files are called APK files. And, I see an article on a site that says, here's a guy who's got the APK for the kid mode from the Note 3. You could put it on your S3 and it'll work just fine. So look around and find it. There are some other recommendations like Kids Place. We'll put those in the show notes at techguylabs.com. Yeah, I thank you, Uncle Bick. So Uncle Bick is recommending Kids Place. So this is probably a better way to go is with a third-party app. I get so nervous if you go online. This article, this guy named Jose0726 has taken the kid mode file and lets you download it. Who's this Jose? And why is he number 0726 and so forth? But so if you can find a reliable source, you can download it and install it. Nobody's offering it in the store. However, here is, and this is probably a better way to go, an app from KiddoWare called Kids Place Parental Control that lets you do more. This actually looks really good. I'm going to have to install it and play with it. It lets you do a lot more than the kid mode does, including, let the kid run an arbitrary number of apps. You can even have multiple user profiles, so you can have multiple kids. Lollipop lets you do that. And the new Lollipop might have many of these features, but this is great. You can't make phone calls, blah, blah, blah. So thank you, Uncle Bix. This looks good. Oh, you know Jose0726? Oh, good. All right. That big old jet airliner has deposited Johnny Jet upon our shores. Once again, Mr. Jet is here to talk about using technology to travel better. Hello, JJ.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, you're glad to be back home, aren't you?
You know it.
I can tell.
Sunny California.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You're growing a mustache for Movember.
You got it. Not looking too good, right?
No, it looks great.
Thank you.
It's you look very debonair. You look like Tom Selleck. Are you wearing short shorts? Come on. He stood up. No, you look great. This is to raise awareness for men's health issues, particularly prostate cancer. And it was started in Australia, and it's gone around the world now. And men grow facial hair for the month of November.
You should be growing it since you said you shave twice a day.
I am not gonna. I can't. I have issues.
Okay.
I have issues, but mostly Lisa. So you said there was an article in the Wall Street Journal about buying tickets, and you said this is not quite right. What did you see?
This is a week or two ago. They came out saying that Sunday is the best day to buy tickets.
Yeah,
and everyone used to say it was Tuesday. Everyone has a different
It can't be
theory.
Much of a difference, can there?
It's not much of a difference, but I don't think this is accurate. I actually don't think there is one day of the week that is the best day to buy. I think you need to monitor it all the time.
Right.
And the Wall Street Journal came out and said there is not one website out there that is a definitive website to buy a ticket from.
We know that because airlines like Southwest refuse to be on any of these websites. So you have to at least check that.
Well, it's not only that, is that the airlines make deals with other online travel agencies. So, there might be a better deal. American Airlines could make a deal with Expedia when, U.S. Airways or Delta made a deal with Travelocity. So you need to check all the sites. I mean, that's why I created my website to begin with.
Right.
Because you need to search around.
Even your site has more than one search on it.
Of course. I mean,
yeah.
It's actually, you're not searching on my stuff. You're going to Expedia. You're going to Travelocity, Orbitz. You want to go to ITA Matrix, which is a great.
That's the one Google owns, right?
It's one that Google owns for a couple $1 billion. So you want to go to that. And you, again, like you said, you want to go to southwest.com since they're not on any of these.
Right.
But Southwest used to be always the cheapest. That's not the case anymore. Southwest is actually.
You got to shop around. And all of this is because of computers. because once they started using computers to calculate fares, they could do it in real time, instantaneously.
For sure. And what's interesting is, by the way, it said it used to be 42 days in advance you want to buy your ticket. And now the Wall Street Journal says that's shifted to 57 days in advance. But it all depends on the destination.
Right.
And things like that.
Right. So a couple of months in advance is probably a good idea because the fares are going to go up after that. Is that the reason?
Well, without a doubt, within 21 days, the tickets are going to keep going up.
Yeah. It gets very expensive if you have to fly on short notice. I know that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're trying to target the business travelers.
Right.
I mean, they're trying to hit the business travelers with these high fares because they'll pay it.
Business travelers and Apple journalists, because Apple only tells you a week before the event when they're going to have an event. So that's like all the journalists I know go, oh, now we have to pay top dollar for these airplane tickets.
They probably can't fly the airline they want to fly to get their miles.
Right.
So,
all right. Anyway, so there are rules and rules. Someday, would you write this all up and put it on JohnnyJet.com?
I actually have, and I'm about to do another one.
Oh, good.
For Christmas, because I just did one for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, is this the most traveled weekend week?
They say the Sunday and Monday after Thanksgiving are.
Because everybody's coming home at the same time.
And the Wednesday before.
Right.
But then there's other people who say the middle of summer in July, there's more flights.
Okay. It's bad all the time now because of computers. Planes rarely fly empty anymore. They almost always fly full.
Well, the airlines all cut back capacity.
Well, yeah, and they use computers to juggle it all, and they know exactly how many tickets they've sold, and they don't mind canceling a flight if there's only 3 people on it, and on and on and on.
Well, that's why you got to pick the right days of the week to fly. So I usually fly Tuesday or Wednesday or Saturday. So that way you have a better chance of getting a seat open next to you.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Saturday.
It's usually the cheapest days, too.
Yeah.
And Thursdays, too. And by the way, real quick, speaking of cheap, I just found some deals. San Francisco to Puerto Rico, $362 round trip on JetBlue. American Airlines has Portland to San Juan for $373. In New York, you can go on American or Delta for $362 to Costa Rica. These are round trip tickets. So get out of the cold. Yeah.
From New York to Costa Rica.
$362.
We didn't need a one-way. I'm staying. You got an app for us, JJ?
Yes, I do. So there's an app called Travel Safe. Have you heard of this one?
No.
I think it's an Australian company, actually. They charge 99 cents. It's available on iOS and Android. And what it does is you can make an emergency call within 5 seconds of opening the app, they say. So I don't know if you're going to be panicking and you're going to want to hit 911 first, which I would if you're in America. But if you're traveling overseas.
Oh, it has all the consulates and everything in here.
Exactly. And you don't. But when you're traveling overseas, 911 is not universal.
Yeah.
So this could help. What I do before I travel to a foreign country, I will Google the emergency number and I'll put it in my phone.
So it's kind of a database of the right numbers. I wish it should have like help me in Italian. You know, you should have like buttons you could press. Help me, I'm stuck in an alley and there's a scary man coming towards me in Italian. That would be cool. Travel Safe, 99 cents, iOS and Android.
But again, if you save money, you can just Google whatever country.
Yeah, just look it up ahead of time.
Yep, and just put it in your phone. And I do that when I'm traveling. Not only that, you want to do your backup lodging. Let's say you're connecting. Let's say you're flying LA to New York via Chicago. I will look up, Chicago friends. I'll have them already. I'll have hotels just in case there's a storm, and so I can get a jump on it.
Make sure you shave the mustache before you show up.
Yeah. We got time for a product?
Quickly.
LuminAid, LuminAid. It's a solar inflatable light.
When life gets you down, when life gives you lemons, make a LuminAid.
So it gives you 16 hours of LED light.
Wow.
It's great for camping, or if there's an earthquake, which there just was one last night in Indonesia, 7.3.
Yeah.
So
solar powered. It's a solar powered light.
Yeah.
Inflatable. So if you're in a boat, it'll float.
And it's waterproof. Yeah. I got to get one for my car.
Yeah, these are good to have. Johnny Jet, you find him at johnnyjet.com. He's on the Twitter at JohnnyJet. Worth following. And if you do, go to his Twitter page and look at his lists, because he has great lists you can add to your Twitter feed of travel agencies, airlines, great deals sites and so forth. Really
hotels,
wonderful.
car rentals.
It's such a great resource. He's also on Instagram. That's how I know where he is, because he posts a picture of his mustache in different places. No, actually, that's how I keep up with you. I look at your Instagram feed. You're all over the place.
Better work on it.
Yeah. Now I keep doing it.
You know it.
Yeah. I want to see you break the internet with your next picture, if you know if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
You know where I'm going with. Actually, they're saying you look like Clark Gable. You do. You look very
Clark
handsome.
Gable. Wow.
Don't let Florence Henderson see you now. She'll really be all over you. Thank you, Johnny. JohnnyJet.com. Also, while you're at the website, sign up for the travel newsletter. It's free. Do you charge for anything?
No.
What do you mean?
Are you kidding me?
You can make a living. Charge for something.
Well, I do have deals, affiliate deals.
He gives away everything, and that's great. Yeah, because you know people. That's how you get all the free hotels. They go, hey, if you just mention us on a website, you could stay here for a week.
That's true.
How do you get that?
I used to be afraid to fly, afraid to leave the house, and so I know what it's like to be afraid. And I have friends who don't travel because they can't afford it. So I just try and get people out and see the world.
Yeah, see the world. Do you take a camera with you?
Of course.
Yeah. Not just your camera phone. You have a big camera, nice camera. Oh, look at that. That's a huge lens. Johnny Jet, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. JohnnyJet.com. Wow.
Break the internet.
Break the internet with that thing. What kind of camera is that?
This one's my D7000.
Oh, you are.
Sorry,
it's a Nikon. You're a serious photographer.
Not
serious photographer.
So.
All right, sir. Thank you. That was great. We got a lot of stuff in.
Good. Well, I'm glad. Thanks for having me on, and we'll talk next week.
All right. Thanks, Johnny.
All right. Take
See
care.
ya. Bye-bye. Our show today brought to you by Gazelle. Do you have old, you bet you do. Everybody does. If you're a geek, you do. Old stuff in your drawers, old smartphones. Some of mine aren't even so old. Wonder what's in my drawers here. Let's just see. I've got a monorail. You know what? We sold them all. There's nothing in here. Oh, you want to sell that Moto X? No, he won't sell it. Gazelle is the place to go with your old gear, so you can raise some money to get new gear. She asked me not to mention this anymore, so I'm not gonna name names, but I know somebody who paid her rent with. You don't have to buy a gadget. You could just get all that cash and do something fun. Go to a nice meal. Go to Costa Rica. Gazelle, Gazelle.com. That stuff in your drawers, the old hardware that looks like it's just gathering dust, think of them as $100 bills just waiting to be cashed in. Gazelle will buy old iPhones, old iPads, even if they're broken. Cell phones from BlackBerry. Yes, BlackBerry. They won't give you much money, but we'll buy them. HTC, LG, Motorola. All of the quotes, by the way, that you get. Let's say you have a Microsoft. Here's a good one. I got a Surface. I got an old Surface Pro. I want to get the new Surface Pro. I got the Surface Pro 2. It's good condition. How much can I get for that sucker? I got the stuff. Yeah, I got this is all of them in my drawer. There you go. Now that stuff, that's $181 that was just sitting in a drawer, gathering dust. Now here's the beauty part. That price that Gazelle quotes you is good for 30 days. You don't have to do it right away. You could think about it. You could ponder. You could get the new product, transfer your data over from the old product, erase the drive, and then say, let me get paid. They will send you a box with prepaid postage on it. Oh, look, I've got $500 worth of stuff in my Gazelle shopping basket. They'll send you a box. You pack that stuff in there. Anything worth $1 or more, the postage is free. If you forget to wipe your data, they will do it. Or if it's broken and you can't, they will wipe your data. Don't worry. And then they'll pay you. They'll send you a check, a PayPal credit, or, and this is the one I'd get if you're an Amazon buyer, get the Amazon gift card. They bump the value on 5% up on that. Gazelle. Free shipping, fast processing. They've paid nearly $170 million to over 1 million customers so far. This is silly to let that stuff sit there and just gather dust. Sell it on Gazelle. What's your iPhone worth? Take a minute and go to Gazelle.com and find out. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. Pete is on the line from Fullerton, California. Hi, Pete.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
I have a question. I have a laptop computer, and the CD DVD drive, I can't tell it to finally give up if it's trying to read. It's obviously trying to read, and I'm not sure if
you just hit it really hard. Give up.
I have kind of. And I'm not sure if to give up on it or if it happened about a year ago, and then one day it wasn't working, and the next day it was, and it's been working ever since. And then it started doing it again the other day.
What happens when it doesn't work?
You can hear it making a noise like it's trying to read the disc. And then after like 3 or 4 times, it gives up, and it just does it over and over every time you reload it. So I'm not sure if that means it's done or what. And I was going to ask you, if it is done, how easy is it to put in another one?
It's a tower case or a laptop?
Laptop.
Hard to do. It depends, but generally difficult on a laptop. What kind of laptop?
It's a compact.
Yeah, I mean, go to ifixit.com, see if they have the Fix-It manual for that particular model, and you can see how hard it will be. It's very easy on some laptops.
Okay.
And it's virtually impossible on others. It just depends on the manufacturer and what they made possible.
Because I noticed you would have to take off all the screws to the bottom to get to the drive.
But it may be right that once you do that, you may take off the metal plate. I've done this, and there it is. You take off the ribbon cable, take off a couple more screws, take it out, put a new one in. You'd have to get one that fits it exactly. That may be a challenge as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty old. If it's called a compact, it's a fairly old machine.
Right. But is there a way to tell if that's the end of that drive?
Well, it sounds like it is. These drives, okay, anything with moving parts is going to fail faster than something solid state, obviously.
Okay.
So it's often the optical drive that fails, and there's a couple of things that the gears are plastic. They could easily get stripped. It could be the laser it could be merely misaligned. And maybe when you smacked it, you actually knocked it back into alignment. It's generally not worth the cost to have somebody look and see if it's misaligned. I would just get an external drive, a USB CD-ROM, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, I thought about that. I just mainly use this if I'm going somewhere to watch movies.
So you don't want to carry around another thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think that, probably in all seriousness, probably not user replaceable or not worth the effort, especially on an older computer. An external one is cheap, $20. That I would say that's your best bet. They sell things to clean the lasers and stuff. I've never had any. You could try it. They have devices to clean the lasers, but that seems unlikely. Chat room really wants you to use a laser lens cleaner. I think it's because it got better and then it started failing. That sounds like it's kind of gone. But good luck, Pete. It's funny. I feel like optical drives, like that CD or DVD player, those are on the way out. A lot of computers don't even come with them anymore. Physical media is just kind of undesirable. People are streaming stuff. It's nice to have an external one. What I would do if you have enough storage on that compact, you said you like to take it traveling, I would I would get an external drive, and instead of bringing it with you, I would rip the CD or DVD, use Handbrake, for instance, which is free from Handbrake, HANDBRAKE, like a handbrake on your car, .fr. For France, it's French. And they will require a program like VLC, which is also French, also free for Videoland client. They'll explain this, to break the DVD copy protection, and then you just put it on your disc. And each DVD is under a gigabyte. So if you have 10 gigs free on your drive, you can put 10 movies on there. Watch it from the drive. You don't need the player at all. Just get a $20 external player. Jeffrey, Las Vegas, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi, Leo. Love the show. Listened to you since your first days at KFI, and I love my workforce. 3520, far superior than HP and brother.
Yeah, I've always said so. Even if they are a sponsor.
About 3 months ago, I don't know whether it's coincidence, I put an SSD drive in my desktop, and ever since then, I've lost my Gmail that's over 30 days old. So when I open it, I can only go back 30 days. I have my settings in front of me. I'm only using 25% of the storage. I've got IMAP enabled. And I'd love
But the Gmail is still on the Gmail server, right? You can go online to gmail.com and see all your old mail, right?
No.
Well, that has nothing to do with whatever SSD you put in.
Like I said, I don't know whether it was a coincidence. Maybe there was
I mean, well, it doesn't. It doesn't matter what you did physically, locally. If that stuff is deleted from the Gmail, from Google's mail servers, you or somebody else deleted it.
Okay. Maybe when so would POP3 delete it if I was previously IMAP and I accidentally set it up as POP3 or vice versa?
No. Nothing should delete it. The whole premise of Gmail when it first came out 10 years ago now was never delete your email because you can search it and we'll store as much as you want. And I think you now have 15 gigs or more to store this stuff. And you haven't used up your capacity, have you?
No, I'm at 24%. I listened to your Gmail show about a month ago multiple times, streaming
Here's what I would do, just in case. There is a checkbox, a folder called All Mail. Do you know that one? It's usually hidden away under More on the left-hand side of your Gmail. Click that. Click All Mail and see if it's all there.
Okay.
All Mail goes back. I have, when I do All Mail, 300,300 email messages. If I do that, I mean, I can go back literally 10 years in Gmail.
Wow.
So I suspect that it's there. Unless you would have to literally delete it. You would have to say, I want to delete it. I don't think, certainly POP3 does delete email if you somehow change it to POP3, but I don't think Google lets it. I could be wrong on that. The whole idea of POP3 is that once you've downloaded the mail, this comes from the days when hard drive storage was expensive and your internet service provider didn't want to store your mail. And so you would go to your internet service provider using the post office protocol, or POP, download the mail and delete it. That was the default. But that's not how Google works. It uses IMAP. I think it lets you use a POP3 email client to get it, but I don't think it will allow it to delete them. I do not think it will allow it to delete them. So I would go look in your web browser and see if it's all there. Just click All Mail. And I think it should all be there. Unless you explicitly deleted it. That's the whole premise of Gmail, and that's why I like it. Yeah, and it certainly doesn't have anything to do with putting an SSD in. I'm going to check. I'll tell you what. I will check. It's possible. All right, somebody in our chat room says, yeah, I did that. Really? That seems like a flaw in Gmail, that it would say, just by, you accidentally told it to use POP3. You'd have to change the settings in your mail client. Should I try it and see? Maybe I will. All right, somebody in the chat room says, no, if you use a POP3 client, you have to set it up explicitly with POP3. And then it will delete it by default? That seems unlikely. If so, that's a major flaw in Gmail, and they should change that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Do you know? You give me a ring, we'll talk about it. No. There's no way. All right, I'm going to try it. But then it'll delete my 300,000 messages. I don't think that would be a horrific forwarding and pop IMAP. First of all, you'd have to go in and explicitly enable POP, right? And then you would have to, the default is keep Gmail's, okay. So you could, if you really worked at it, you first have to enable POP for all email. That's not the default. Then you would have to go down here and say delete Gmail's copy. That's not the default. Then you would have to open a POP mail client and configure it for Google. That's not the default. And then it would do it. So you would have to, it's not going to happen by accident. You'd have to change at least 3 settings. I should unchange these. Let's not have these settings. Because the default is keep it. Now, I don't know. It has everything to do with Gmail Web 7355 because you have to, first of all, enable Gmail to work with POP. Gmail's an iMac client. And you have to tell Gmail it's okay to delete it. It will not do that normally. Yeah. And this is exactly what I expect from Google. That unless you really know that you want it to be deleted and set it up that way, it won't let you do it. You'd have to, you'd have to say, no, no, really, I don't want you to save it. No, no, no. But if he goes over here and checks all mail, no matter what's happened, whether it's been archived or whatever, if he checks all mail, all his mail will show up. Nope. I understand mail clients will do it automatically. Gmail won't let them Web 7355. It's not, you have to turn it on. It's not there by default. If you turn it on, it'll do it. It ignores it. That's just a request from the POP3 client. Gmail ignores it unless you tell it to. And that's what I would expect, frankly. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, home theater, MP3. No, we won't talk MP3 players. I will be shocked if we talk MP3 players. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Website, techguylabs.com. Lou, Los Angeles, our first caller of the hour. Hi, Lou.
Hi, Leo. First-time caller, long-time listener. Love your show.
Thank you. I really want to say, hello, Lou. You know what I'm talking? I'm doing a Ted Baxter. Not very well. Hello, Lou. What can I do for you?
Well, Mary, let me tell you this. Actually,
I know where you're going with that one. You've got spunk. Okay. I hate spunk. All right, all the young people are going, what are they talking about? See, this is show. It was on a long, long time ago. Mary Tyler Moore. A lot of people watched it. Never mind. You don't need to know. What can I?
I just got my bottle of food in the drawer. I'm ready to get it.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. A little over 2 years ago, I bought a laptop.
Yes, sir.
6 or 8 months ago, it started shutting down periodically. When I boot it back up, it would tell me it overheated. I'm sorry?
I say E.
Okay, E. So I vacuumed out all the ventilation slots and was okay for about a week. Started doing.
Well, that's interesting. That helped, though, huh?
It helped for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. You have a dog, a cat, a mountain lions, giraffes, small animals of any kind.
Just the usual kind of dust.
Just dust. So really,
right.
Yeah.
So I bought one of those things you put on your computer that has 2 fans in it.
Yeah.
And that worked fine for about 3 months.
And now it's doing it again.
And then it started doing it again. So then I went and bought a little 4-inch fan, USB port, and I've got it stuck right up against the side of the computer.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay. It hasn't shut down, but every time I reboot now, I get a new error message that says the system is detected as a cooling fan is not operating correctly.
See, I think that's been the problem all along, yeah.
Yeah, this is continued operation may result in loss of files, erratic operation, or damage to the computer.
So there's a couple. Most laptops have at least one, maybe 2 fans. There's usually one on the CPU that you can't see, and then there's one by the port, the opening on the laptop where you may be able to see a fan in there.
Right.
Vacuuming it out will clean, and you're on the right track. Dust can accumulate, block the fan. It's not getting good circulation. But I think all along that probably the CPU fan wasn't working or was flaky. And I think and the problem is that you need to take the whole thing apart to get to it.
Okay, well, I did go to the HP Support Center. And they gave me a possible solution that a hard reset can sometimes restore the system fan.
Did that work?
I haven't tried it yet, simply because I can't seem to get the battery compartment open to remove the battery.
Right.
Which is one of the steps you have to take.
Right.
But what they recommend is just disconnect all cables, remove any input to any wireless device, remove the battery, hit the power switch to drain any capacitors, and then put it all back together.
Right.
and try it again.
You know, I guess that's possible. That would imply that something went wrong with BIOS and it wasn't working to drive the fan properly.
Okay.
I think it could. I think, given that you've had overheating problems since very early, that CPU fan, couple of things, but that sound, and now that you're getting the message, you know, they all have little. They're all connected to the motherboard and they have sensors. They know when the fan's spinning. So I think that's related to how the overheating problem you've been having for some time.
Okay, well, this new third fan I have attached, I haven't had any problems other than getting the error message every time I boot up. So
yeah,
my concern is, am I going to damage the computer or am I okay?
No, because
I've got plenty of airflow through now.
Yeah, so it's cool. So the computer, you won't damage the computer. The computer, at all processors do that. When it gets above its normal rated temperature, it shuts down to protect itself, and that's what it's been doing. By blowing all that air in there, you probably are keeping it from overheating, even though its own fan is not working. So you're going to get that warning because it's electrically. It says the fan's not spinning. It doesn't know about your external fan.
Okay.
You can get. There are motherboard monitors if you wish. You can get free software that will monitor fan speed as well as, and that's how it knows it's not spinning, as well as motherboard temperature, internal temperature. It might be worth looking at that.
Okay, do you have any idea where I can look for that?
You know, it used to be called Motherboard Monitor, and I think that they've stopped making that one in particular. If I tell you what, we'll find. I won't do the search now. The chat room probably will be able to find it for me. And if not, we'll put it on the. You have a. It's a PC, right? It's Windows, right?
Yeah, it's Windows PC.
Yeah. Looks like Major Geeks still has that for download. Motherboard Monitor MBM. And that's nice because it will tell you not just the temperatures but the fan spinning speeds. There's CPU ID. I don't know if that tells you about fans. There's speed fan. We'll put them all in the show notes at techguylabs.com.
Okay, I'll give that a try. But in the meantime, I don't have to worry about my computers.
Yeah, no, it'll shut itself down before it gets too hot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Normally I would say pay attention to that warning because it's not cooling itself off. But you've provided a third-party fan. Now, somebody in the chat room said, I did have that issue with an HP laptop. Is it an HP laptop?
Yes, it is.
And he says a BIOS restore and update fixed it. So it could be HP knew something when they were telling you that. It might be worth prying off that battery cover.
And doing a hard reset.
It might just be a BIOS issue. Boy, that would be nice.
Yeah, well, if that doesn't work, the next step is even worse. Remove the battery, remove the keyboard, disconnect the fan cable from the system board. It gets much more complicated.
Yeah, HP has had problems with overheating for as long as they've been around, if you ask me.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
this HW monitor from CPU ID is great. This is CPUID.com, and they have a hardware monitor that will. Actually, I would do this before you do anything else, just to see if that fan is spinning. If the temperatures are fine and the fan is spinning, then I would make the effort to get the BIOS updated. That it might just be a reporting problem, not an actual problem. Good luck. That's a pain in the butt, huh? Let's go to Columbia, Tennessee. Rick's there, and he has a question. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Got somewhat of a geeky question, maybe. I was just wondering if you fix the hard drive with, say, SpinRite, and you do a clone, does it clone the bad sectors to the new hard drive?
That's a great question. No, it does not.
It does not.
So bad sectors are SpinRite adds them to the do not use table and says don't even bother. These are not anything there. Now that sector still exists on the new drive, and it's not bad. The table is not copied, but it won't copy data on a bad sector. It will ignore it. So what the clone will do is copy every sector that can be read, minus the bad sector table sectors. And those sectors will be available on the new drive going forward. It'll have its own set of bad sectors. All drives have bad sectors. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's good news.
Yeah. Why well, is it good news? Because it sounded like you might want something on the bad sectors.
No, it's good news that if you do have a repaired hard drive, you're not copying them over.
Yeah, it won't propagate the errors over. No, absolutely
right.
Not. Yep.
And just a little plug for your carbonite sponsor there. I'm working right now with a company that got bit with the ransomware, the crypto locker.
Yeah.
And they were really good about actually going in and helping us with that. So
that's nice to know. Yeah, I talked.
They use versioning.
Right. So even if you got the first version of the files blacked up, the encrypted ones, you've got previous versions unencrypted.
Correct.
Did they send you a drive, or did they just help you walk you through?
No, they're helping. They actually did a couple of remote sessions.
Awesome.
The first restore didn't work, and so we had to go to the second one.
That's good to know. Hey, thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, the cloning is sector by sector, but it ignores sectors in the bad sector table, which would be there because that's exactly how SpinRite works. If it can't read a sector or it has trouble reading a sector, it reads it until it gets the data, moves it off, and then adds the sector to the bad sector table, which will then be ignored in the cloning. So, yeah, you don't have to worry about bad data being propagated. For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for your hard drive. 8888, ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I love rock and roll. It's so serious. Let's move on to our next caller. That's Mark in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hey, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Kate and Leo rock forever, man.
Wow. There's a name from my past. You're talking about Kate Botello, co-star in the year 1998 with me on a little show we called The Screensavers.
Yeah, man. That's it.
That will live in the memory of some geeks forever. Thank you.
That's what it does. Hey, you're welcome. Hey, let me set my question up, please. I currently carry a Galaxy Note 2. Love it. Contract is almost up, so I'm getting itchy. The screen or the glass is a little cracked, too, but everything works great. Still love the phone. Looked at the Note 4. Love it. But the Nexus 6 is kind of looking pretty good. So my question is...
Your timing is excellent, by the way, because this last quarter has been the most amazing quarter for big screen smartphones.
And that's what I need. I need a big phone. I'm a
Clearly,
big guy.
you like a big phone. I have had every Galaxy Note. I got the Note 4. Love it. It's the best Note they've ever made.
Yeah.
But it is not quite as big as the Nexus 6, which is Google's next Google phone.
Well, my dilemma is I've always shunned phones that you couldn't open up and change the battery and add memory to.
Mm-hmm.
So the Nexus 6 looks nice, but you can't open it up. What should I do? Should I forget my prejudice? And
that's a really good question. I'm kind of in your same conundrum. I have the Note 4 and the camera is the best ever. It's great. The screen 2560 by 1440, unbelievable. 500 plus dots per inch. I put a 128 gig SD card in there. I got a second battery. The battery life on all of these giant phones goes down because they have so many dots on the screen. It kills the battery life. So the Note 4 is not as good battery life-wise as the Note 2 or 3 was. You probably won't get through the whole day. You'll get maybe 18 or 16 hours. But it's easy enough to put a second battery, and I love that. The thing that both the Nexus 6 and the Note 4 have is this rapid charging capability. This is something actually comes from Qualcomm. They have the Qualcomm chips in there. And that's nice because it makes the second battery maybe a little less vital. If you can get to a plug, in 15 minutes, you can get about 6 hours of talk time on there. In half an hour, you could charge it more than halfway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice, and that's on both these phones. In fact, will be probably on most of the newer smartphones. Moto X has it as well. And I got to point out, we don't need as much storage as we used to because a lot of our stuff is streaming. So... But you can only get 32 or 64 gigs on the Nexus 6. This may all be solved by the fact that the Nexus 6 is very hard to get. Actually, so is the Note 4 right now.
Yeah.
A lot of stores have run out of the Note 4. There weren't a whole lot of them. So I can't give you the right answer, partly because I don't have that Nexus 6 yet. It comes They ship, to those of us who bought on Google's store, they ship November 21st. You might be able to walk into a Sprint or an AT&T and T-Mobile store next week and get one.
All right. Well, that bit about the quick charging, that information helps a lot.
It's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. You plug it in, it says, I see fast charging, and boom. If you've got, you get home, it's been a great night, you went clubbing, phone's on its last legs, you get in the shower, you plug in the phone. By the time you're out of the shower, it's 60% charged, and you're ready to go to work.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. But the problem with the non-expandable memory is they charge you so much to get the extra memory on the phone.
I know. It's $50 to get a 64 gig Note 6. I think 64 gigs is. I'm echoing Bill Gates from an earlier era. I think 64 gigs is enough for anybody.
That was 64K back then.
Yeah, I was a little less. But I think 64 is a lot. And unless you really... I have a 32 gig Note 4. I have a 32 gig Moto X. I've yet to... You have to be a little judicious. You can't put every song in your library on it. Right. You have to pull off pictures every once in a while. You can't just fill it up. But I agree. I like removable batteries, and I like SD cards. The Note, here's the negative. The only negatives on the Note 4, it's a Note. It's a Samsung device, so they have Samsung software on there, and you can't get rid of it. But you like your Note 2, or Note 3, so...
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, I anxiously look forward to your reviews of the Nexus.
Yeah, I'll have it probably... not next weekend. It ships the 21st. That means I'll probably have it Thanksgiving weekend, and I'll certainly give you my reviews. Everybody I know who owns one comments on how big it is. I have had a 6-inch screen on the Nokia 1520, and I don't mind it. It's about as... I don't think you're going to see screens getting much bigger than that on phones. 6 inches is huge. It has Lollipop, and it's a clean Android experience. I think there's a lot to be said for that. And what we don't know yet is what Lollipop does to battery life. Google claims that Lollipop, which is Android 5.0, will further improve battery life. We are hearing a negative on the Nexus 6. Widely reported, the Nexus 6 automatically encrypts the data on the phone, and people are reporting very slow read and write times, making the phone feel somewhat sluggish. Now, this is third hand. I haven't secondhand. I haven't seen it myself. But a number of people have reported that, and we do know, in fact, the Nexus 6 is encrypting it. And I have seen disk benchmarks that show that the disk access on the Nexus 6 is really slow, like half what it would be normally. Whether you'll notice that or not, I don't know. But that is something to be aware of. And remember, I'm the guy who hated Samsung and all the TouchWiz cruft. And the Note 4, they've done it with a much lighter touch, and it doesn't get in my way at all. I run a different launcher. I don't use the Samsung launcher. For that matter, I don't use the Google launcher. I always use Apex or Nova launcher. These are third-party launchers that let you customize a little bit more. And I think the Note 4 is great, and the screen is gorgeous. Gorgeous. So... It's a conundrum. I think you can't go wrong. Let me put it this way. And I do think that if virtually unlimited storage and a removable battery are important, the Note 4 is about the last one in the world to do that. If a pure Google experience is important, then I absolutely agree. The Nexus 6 is probably the phone to get. 8888 asks Leo, see how I'm hedging like this now? I used to be much more definitive. You know what's changed? These phones are great. There's not much wrong with any of them. You can hardly go wrong choosing any of the latest phones. They're all fantastic. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Naturebox.com brings you this portion of the Tech Guy show. And, if I'm getting a little slowed down, it happens, right? Right around this time of day, you're going to ask and don't go back to the vending machine and get the Hershey bar. That's a bad idea. Get something healthy for yourself from NatureBox. NatureBox delivers snacks to your door monthly. Delicious, healthy snacks, nutritionist designed. So there's never any high fructose corn syrup. There's never any trans fats. No artificial flavors or coloring. You can even say, I'm gluten conscious. I don't want something, with gluten, or I don't want... You can actually specify vegan, for instance. And these are... Oh, man, these snacks are so good. This is the whole wheat raspberry figgy bars. Oh, they're so good. But then they have dried fruit. The best pineapple rings you've ever had. The Big Island pineapple. They're so good. So I've arranged, through my extensive contacts in the NatureBox community, for a free trial for you if you go to naturebox.com/twit. You'll pay $2 shipping for it. That's it. And it gives you a chance to taste some of these great snacks and see what you like. When you go back to NatureBox, you could choose from hundreds of snacks, savory, sweet, spicy, or do what I do. We just get an assortment. It's always something different. It's always fun. Coffee. This is one I've never seen before. Coffee kettle popcorn. Kettle corn with coffee caramelized flavor on top of it. And what's in it? Non-GMO popcorn, brown sugar, salt, clarified butter, and cocoa. Oh, a little coffee, too, and sea salt. That sounds good. You'd like some, I bet. Yeah. Yeah, I know you would. So go to naturebox.com/twit and get your free trial and find out more. NatureBox. I hate doing these ads. My mouth just water. I just want... Once I ate the Big Island pineapple rings. I was at a commission for like 5 minutes while I chew. They're so delicious. All you could hear on the ad was naturebox.com/twit. Try it today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Our gadget hound, the GizWiz, coming up in about 15 minutes, but I have time for some more calls. So let's say hi to Eric in Los Angeles. Hi, Eric.
Hi, thanks, Leo. Appreciate taking my call. I have to admonish you that I am the Ted Baxter of tech.
We just had Lou on. This is great.
Well, I know that there's people out there that'll be laughing to ask this, but I want to get a DVD I have onto the computer and then eventually YouTube. And I know I downloaded DVD Decryptor.
No. I got it for you. Is this it's not a commercial DVD, right?
No.
So Handbrake, I mentioned this earlier today, is great. It's handbrake like a handbrake in a car. HANDBRAKE.FR. It's free software.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do have, if you have encryption on it, if it's a commercial DVD, they'll tell you need to get another program to decrypt it, but also free. But you don't need VLC if it's a personal DVD.
Right. Now, why I asked you is I was using the DVD decryptor to convert it to put it into the computer, and I lost a lot of quality on it.
Right.
That was my main beef on that.
You don't have to. So Handbrake, when you download it and install it, will let you choose what quality you want. Now, remember, that DVD is encoded in MPEG-2. All DVDs are. They wouldn't play back.
Right.
That's not the highest quality ever. It's not HD, for instance. It's 480p.
Mm-hmm.
But Handbrake will give you as much detail, as much quality as the DVD has. You just have to set it. So it has settings for whatever you're going to output it to. I would just max the settings out so you get it. You can also choose a bit rate, say how big the file is. I would just play with it, and you absolutely can get a H.264 file out of that is exactly as good as the video is.
Is that all I will need to say upload it to YouTube at just Handbrake and do it?
Yep, you'll convert it into a MP4 file. And then YouTube takes it, it processes it. YouTube, of course, is going to degrade it a little bit. It'd be fun to find an article that says, what is the ideal setting for YouTube? I bet if you search, you'll find it. You can certainly overdo it. And I bet you there are just the right settings for a YouTube file to upload. Somebody's saying level 18 is as far as you need to go. I don't know if that's the case, but play with it till you get a file that you like, upload it to YouTube. YouTube re-encodes it. If it's an H.264 MP4, I think it doesn't need to do much, which is nice. You want the more processing you do, the worse it's going to look.
All right.
And then I think you'll get the best results, and it's free. You pay nothing.
Well, I like that.
Yes. What you'll pay is a little bit of time, learning the software, figuring out what the best settings are, and so forth. I'm going to look around. I bet you, and maybe the chat room knows, there's got to be an article somebody wrote. In fact, I remember reading it, so I know it exists. What settings to use to be optimal for YouTube? Probably has to be updated because YouTube now can do video as high def video and even 4K video. So I think you could probably just find some decent settings. I don't think Handbrake has a YouTube setting. Handbrake has settings for iPod, Apple TV, Android, high profile, normal profile. If you made it Apple TV 3 compatibility in the high profile, I bet you get a good looking video that would look great on the good looking video that would look great on YouTube. Mark in Riverside, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting here. You answered my call just in time. I'm sitting in the parking lot of Apple. So.
About to pull the trigger on something?
Yes, I am. I have all my equipment is Mac and Apple, and I have my 5S in my hand right now. So I have two questions. One, I know they do a trade-in, so I was thinking about doing a trade-in with my 5S to get the 6 Plus.
Okay.
That thought, but then I was also wondering about AppleCare Plus. That's changed from AppleCare in the past.
Yeah, so their AppleCare Plus is designed specifically. In fact, you can do it on anything, but really was designed because people drop phones and they break them. And so what you have to look at is two things: the deductible, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's
$79.
Okay, $79 per incident, and then the number of incidents a year you can have.
2.
Yeah, and then do the math. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
If you drop your phone a lot, it is. You can only drop it twice a year, though. So.
And I've never. The funny thing is, I've never dropped any of my phones. So
yeah.
I'm going on.
I don't buy AppleCare ever. Because I prefer to self-insure. All of these are insurance schemes, and Apple makes money on them. It probably doesn't make a lot, but it makes money on them. So that means on a purely statistical basis, you're better off not buying the insurance and just self-insuring. It will be somewhat less expensive over the long run. The problem is it's over the long run, like hundreds of phones, and you don't care about the long run. You care about you when you drop that phone next week.
Right.
And
my
people,
kids dropping one.
yeah, or yeah. Oh, by the way, always get AppleCare for your kids. AppleCare Plus. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've gone through so many phones with my kids. Truth is, it wouldn't be worth it for me because my kids drop it more than twice a year.
Gotcha.
So in that case, I don't know what to do.
And do you know anything about the trade-in?
I don't, although I've been told that the trade-in at Apple is pretty good. It's pretty generous.
Okay.
Almost everybody now does phone trade-ins because there's some market value to that 5S.
Right.
You know what you do before you go in? Just do it on the phone. Go to Gazelle.com and see what they quote. And then that'll give you a base level. And then you go to the Apple Store. If they quote you more, give it to them. They probably will because you're going to buy a phone from them.
Right.
So it's in their interest to give you a little more. It's the same thing with, you're going to get more money because they're going to get it back.
Right, right. Excellent. Well, I'm glad I got through to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. Enjoy your shopping spree.
You got it.
What are you going to buy a Mac too while you're there?
Oh no, I already have my laptop. So it's
I have somebody sitting in studio with me. He's a video editor in Hollywood, and he has a Mac Pro, and I'm trying to convince him to get the 5K iMac. I think I'm winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to look at them.
Just look at them. But I warn you, when you once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Well, I'm not going to touch it. I'll stay back.
Okay, don't touch it. But once you start looking at things on that, it's like, wow. It's like putting on glasses. You don't want to take them off again. Everything's so clear. So I think we have time for another one before the break. Renee and Escondido. Hello, Renee. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, sir. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I know it sounds so cliche.
It's cliched because it's true.
Exactly. I actually have a question with my TV, actually. I bought a Vizio. It's probably I think it's from 2011. And I bought it used, for really still for $40 for 52 inch, So I know there's something that had to be wrong with it, of course.
That's quite a deal, yes.
No, yeah, most definitely.
They're affordable, but not that affordable, yeah.
Exactly. So, it worked for the first 2 weeks that I had it. I turned it on, and eventually it stopped turning on, and the orange Vizio light would turn on and make a loud click, like the power was going to turn on, but the screen screen or nothing would turn on at all, and no sound or anything. And then it would turn on the next time I would turn it on, but it would flicker kind of like a strobe in a way. And the sound was the strobe too, as like if you're talking into a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't hear you.
Most definitely. And I would unplug it too, and I would use it like later on that day, and it would work, and there were no problems. I'd turn it off, and then I'd have the same problem later on. Where it
I
flickered.
doubt that you can open it up and fix it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Final thought after this. What are you gonna do? Oh yeah, that's I got the part number right here. It's the J47 capacitor on the motherboard there. If you pop that off, you get yourself a new one, everything will be fine. It sounds like the power supply, Scooter says, and I think I always blame the power supply, and something like this does sound like the power supply. But it sounds like this when I'm... Oh yeah, that's no problem there. Everybody knows what's wrong with that there. That's your fly transformer, and what you got to do there, if you open it up, you find a fly transformer in there. There's a little string on there, and what you do is you pull that string out, just a little bit, not much, half an inch there. That'll reset it. Then you don't have to worry about that for another 6 months. In 6 months, you're gonna have to do that again there. So I wouldn't put all the screws back; just put 1 or 2 of the screws back in there. That way you should get right back in there. Woo! Hello, Dickie D.
Hey. That reminds me, when you were a kid, we used to call people strangers, I didn't do it, but friends did, and said, you have enough cable on your phone? And they go, I think so. They said, well, because we're out in the street working on the phones, and if you want a little more cable, you want a couple of feet?
Feed some in there.
Just pull it in.
Yeah.
Pull it, and you just get them to pull their phone out of the wall.
Did that work?
Out of the wall. Boy, if you got a dead, if the phone went dead, your prank worked.
That is a great prank.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm out here on the street. I'm on maybe you can see me on the pole there. How you doing?
Yeah.
We
a lot of wire up here.
I got extra wire, and I always offer people when I'm working on the phone out there. I'm always offering them if you want a little extra wire, I could just feed it in through the hole in your house there if you want. Would you like some? Because I'm just up here. Yeah. You want some more? Just pull on the wire. I'm gonna feed it in here. You got to pull it through though. Sometimes it gets a little stuck, so really give it a good yank. Right there.
You'd be perfect at this. It's not too late. Well, it is too late. No one. I
don't think it would work.
Find the 10%.
I'm on a cordless phone. Sorry.
Landline. Yeah.
That is really a good gag.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, what fun that would be. Oh, you seem like you might have been a phone prankster.
A phone prankster?
Yeah.
I told you, mad. When we moved into a new office, one of the lines was the old line for Capital Airlines. And when that rang, I used to just say, Capital Airlines.
Oh.
Do you go to San Francisco? Nah. You have to be real close to it. Murray, can you stop in San Francisco?
We could make a stop.
Yeah, we got a.
Wait a minute, let me check.
We have a New York to Boston flight.
I got
Murray, on that New York to Boston flight, can you drop someone in San Francisco? Yeah, that was the best. That was good.
How long before they go, oh, screw you, and hang up?
Well, it was just to be a click. It would just be a click. Usually when someone would start banging on one of the trash baskets, and I go, that's not going to work. That wing is not going to hold. I know. That's when you'd hear the click. No, bend it the other way.
I think you bend the prop like that, you're going to get some oscillations once you get in the air.
Scotch tape for the prop? No, Joe.
No.
Get a paper clip.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That Belgian fella, that's Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, We call him the Gizwiz because every week he brings us lovely gizmos and gadgets for our delectation. Hello, Dickie D.
Leah, how you doing? I do have a new gadget. There was an event at the Javits called Engadget.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's Engadget.com. They do these great events.
Expand. It was like new gadgets. And so I met a guy from Bloom Sky. And Bloom Sky, they build weather stations, but very different kind of weather stations. They're saying people who love weather, if you get the weather on the radio, it could be old. It could be for a neighborhood that you're not in. So why not have weather from your own backyard? So they make a device called the Bloom Sky Tian, Tian. It has its own built-in camera. It will give you the humidity, the temperature, the barometer, wind speed and direction, the amount of rain, and photos of the sky from your backyard. So you put it out there, you charge the battery. The battery runs for 30 days. They have a $39 solar power option so that you can just put it out there and just leave it out there.
So it's a weather station.
It's a weather station, but it adds a camera. You know, I don't know of any weather station that will actually send you photos of the sky from your backyard.
But more than that, you can also put this on the internet, right? People can see it.
That's the thing. They hope when they get a lot of these that you don't have to. I thought it was kind of funny. The guy said, when we sell a lot of them, then you won't have to buy one.
Yeah, because they'll have an app, right?
They'll have an app, and you can put in your zip code, and people in your neighborhood who want to share their local weather, you can tune into their Bloom Sky tie-in and see what the local weather is.
I want this.
And not terribly pricey. It's $149. And
that's terribly pricey.
You think it is compared to weather stations?
Well, I don't know, yeah. And I like the camera thing.
Yeah.
Can you point it in the neighbor's bathroom window or something?
You know what? It's adjustable, but I don't think it's that adjustable.
This is cool. So $149 does not include the solar thing.
The solar panel's $39 extra.
How do you so you bring it in and you charge it over, and then once a month you have to charge it?
Once a month you take it in and it's USB chargeable.
So this was a Kickstarter.
Yeah, this was pretty neat.
I like
it. There were several things there that the most bizarre was I said to this woman, "Oh, 3D printer, what are you printing?" She said a raspberry. I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "I'm printing a raspberry."
Well, I wouldn't want to eat it.
Like the fruit? Yeah. I said, "What ink are you using?" She said, "No, I'm printing with fruit juice."
What? You could eat it?
You could eat it. Yeah, I know.
That's wild.
Very bizarre.
That is a food printer.
Yeah.
You know, someday, maybe not in the near future, but maybe 20 years from now, you might go to a restaurant, they just print your whole meal.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah. No, I thought this would, it takes like 3 minutes to print a strawberry or a raspberry.
Well, they'll be cooking.
And now later you get a bunch of them and you squeeze them and you get juice. Well, wait a minute. I started with juice.
I think we're working on it. We're working on it.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. You'll find Dick at gizwiz.biz. That's his website, GIZWIZ.biz. That's where you could play the What the Heck Is It contest. A close-up picture of a gadget. And if you can identify it, you'd be in the running for one of 12 autographed copies of Mad Magazine. But don't worry, if you can't identify it, make up something silly, and you'll be in the running for 24 copies autographed by Dick of Mad Magazine. Thank you, Dickie. Looks like it looks like a change dispenser for an elf or something.
That's not a bad guess.
Yeah, something. I can't.
It's a terrible guess. It's not a bad guess.
Stick around for the Giz Fizz coming up on the podcast network right after the radio show. Thank you, Dickie D. So, Renee, we were talking to Renee. Sorry we got cut off a little bit. We ran out of time, but I just don't think there's anything you can do much to that $40 Vizio to save it.
Okay, yeah, because, I've seen do-it-yourself things about taking off the back and then replacing the capacitors, but I'm not too...
that makes me really nervous. I think, I'm not sure what's wrong.
Oh, sorry, sir. From what I read, it's like a $6 fix.
Yeah, if that's what it is, yeah. You know what? What have you lost? Now, don't electrocute yourself.
Yeah, try not to do that.
Try not to do that. Capacitors, hold charges. That's what they do. And you certainly don't want to discharge a capacitor into your hand. It's at least not the same risk that a CRT used to be. The old tube TVs, the tube held a huge charge and really could blow you across the room. I don't know. I don't think there's anything like that in a LCD TV. But any capacitor can hold charge, so be careful there. But you know what? What can you lose? You already lost your $40. What could possibly go wrong? I would go to iFixit.com. They have great manuals there, and they probably have good stuff about what not to do. Linda's our last call of the day in Dana Point, California. Hi, Linda.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, fine. Okay, this is my situation. I have a Gateway model NV79 laptop, and my touchpad has just stopped working on my keyboard,
Yeah.
Just stopped working.
How old is that computer?
About 4 years old, I think.
Is that all? Man.
Yeah, and so I have to use my mouse, which I really don't want.
Yeah.
My arm.
Yeah, laptops usually don't have replaceable parts. I don't think there's any way you can fix that. I guess you might be able to open it up and take it out and I feel like that's the kind of thing. A laptop is so tight in there and everyone's custom. I feel like opening it up, you're going to risk breaking more things. The good news is you can continue to use that laptop with a USB mouse. You can even buy external trackpads, USB trackpads. So sounds like you really like the trackpad. Do make sure one thing, and this is an important thing, make sure you haven't turned the trackpad off. In most laptops, Nightingale's telling me in the chat room, and he's absolutely right, most laptops have a keystroke combination that disables the trackpad. That's so some people can't type without getting their meaty palms all over the trackpad, causing all sorts of issues. So I would check to make sure the trackpad is not turned off. That'd be the first thing I would do. I hate to throw away the computer because of that. So go in the control panel and look at the mouse control panel. Make sure that the trackpad is turned on. That'd be the only thing that I could think of that you could do yourself. If there's something physically wrong with it. Function F9, is that it on the Gateway? Function key F9. I'll tell you what. Let's we're gonna muster the forces of our brain trust in the chat room, and we'll put whatever we come up with, whatever those keystrokes are, Linda, in our website, techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great geek week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.